Ahoy, me hearties. Made Markham here to tell you a short tale about how being a sky pirate is not always fun, adventure, and profit. Sometimes there are struggles that will get you to fall a bit short of that ideal life, not the least of which are other sky pirates. Now, it's true that plying the skies for ephemera can be quite a profitable thing. Sometimes, just like any such venture, you've got those who will try to band together to make the most they can. We in the Roving Corsairs have always valued our freedom, so the trade-off of choosing our own way versus joining what's called a Sky Clan never really seemed worth it to us, but it makes sense to some others. There are Sky Clans with dozens of crews who will work a larger territory, make bulk deals with the mages for their hauls, and generally watch each other's backs. We do well based on our talent alone, which can irk some other crews, and we really managed to ruffle the feathers of a crew called Las Brujas del Air. Now, they're part of a sky clan called Las Vientas Hequisas, who generally operate a bit farther south than we tend to. Las Brujas del Air took us beating them to a cache really personally once, and they seem to go out of their way to make our lives a misery whenever we cross paths. Las Brujas del Air run an airship called La Linterna, and she's a brute. Our stanza is a fair bit quicker, but we put a lot more profit into keeping her modern than some other crews do their own ships. But we learned right quickly that in a stand-up fight, La Linterna would have us cold. One of the main weapon types that we use in our airships is called splatter shot. Now, it's a cannon that fires a condensed ball of ephemera mixed with all manners of sludge and slag, meant to gum up an airship's workings. We carry 4 such guns, and La Lanterna has 12. So one time we came across her, she let us have it, and it was only by sheer luck that the captain steering us away through some mountains saw us get away from them. But Las Brujas del Air don't always get their upper hand on us, and I wanted to share one such encounter. We landed in a town to sell our hull, and we saw Linterna was already docked at the port there, and we kind of cursed our luck a little bit, but we had no choice but to land. Now, most towns that do business with sky pirates have some strict rules about no causing trouble while aground, and we all learned to abide by these rules, or else we end up blacklisted, which we don't want. Las Brujas del Air stared daggered at us all the whole time, but we really couldn't fool with us. See, it's a good sense for any crew to mind their manners ashore port, but you could get your whole Sky Clan barred if you bother the town bad enough. So their hands were tied even more than ours were. So there wasn't anything at all to stop them from coming after us once we were a Sky, though, so we knew we had to do something about it. So they are a bigger crew, and they could post guards on their deck, so sneaking aboard and stirring some havoc up was kind of out. Then the captain came up with a brilliant plan. Maybe we couldn't mess with their guns, but we could do so with their ammunition. Remember me saying that we kept the stanza more modern than most do? Well, while our bosun Redblade could whip up some splatter shot shells in her shop on board, no problem, most crews brought their own in town. Once we sold off our haul, we went into town's armory, and while I distracted the shopkeep, Admiral Bowman used some strange compound she whipped up from one to spray down all the splatter shot in place. She said she made it from some air beastie that's sweat turned into glue at the right temperature. Like, say, the temperature of a cannon being fired. So we made our sails and we headed back to the stanza. Staying on board overnight, Las Brujas del Air watched us the whole time, and dreaming about the morning shove-off when they should rise and hunt us down. So come dawn, both crews are up and casting off, hoping to catch the others off guard, us praying that they went shopping for shot the day before. We were up and off, and they were after us, charging up their guns as soon as we were out of range of the town. It wasn't long before we started to hear the telltale whomp of splatter shot being fired our way. And we had to dodge a fair bit, and our gamble started to look like it was a foolish one. But after a minute or so, we started to hear splintering wood to go along with those guns, and we looked in our spyglass and saw that their guns had all burst apart and spraying metal everywhere and covering their deck with who knows what Bowman's concoction ended up creating. Needless to say, we were quite pleased with ourselves, and we got to dust off some rude hand gestures as we soared away free. So the moral of this story, I suppose, is that if you're going to live a vengeful life, best rely on your wits as well as your guns. I hope the tale warms you to your next port, me hearties.
Cabernet from Italy does come, but the fairest of them all, me boys, the one to beat the day, is made from apples of the mighty Saguenay. So
follow me, lads, hey, 'cause this ain't no grog or ale. 1 pint down, you'll be swinging in the gale. 5 pints bully, you'll be shaking in your shoes. Where half seas over on the Jolly Rouge.
she's called the Dreadnought Cider, she's proper and she's fine, and when the day is over, sure I wish that she were mine, or in the dark of winter, or on a summer's eve. Oh, one hand giveth and the other doth receive. So
follow me, lads, hey, 'cause this ain't no grog or ale. 1 pint down, you'll be swinging in the gale. 5 pints bully, you'll be shaking in your shoes. We're half seas over on the Jolly Rouge.
So turn your sails over and bring her hard to port. Find that little star and fly straight into the north. The wild sun upon your back, the wind a-blowing free. You're rolling up the river, boys, to old Chakotay. So
follow me, lads, hey, 'cause there ain't no grog or ale. 1 pint down, you'll be swinging in the gale. 5 pints bully, you'll be shaking in your shoes. We're half seas over on the Jolly Rouge.
So you can have a Magnus and pour it over ice, or you can have a strongbow if it's sadness that you like, or join us up the river and we'll set your heart aglow, and how you'll feel when the real cider starts to flow. So follow me, lads,
hey, 'cause this ain't no grog or ale. 1 pint down, you'll be swinging in the gale. 5 pints bully, you'll be shaking in your shoes. We're half seas over on the Jolly Rouge. So follow me, lads, hey, 'cause there ain't no grog or ale. 1 pint down, you'll be swinging in the gale. 5 pints bully, you'll be shaking in your shoes. We're half seas over on the Jolly Rouge.
1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Here's someone, a pirate named Baron LeBon. A meaner scoundrel had never been known, and he sailed on the Dark Lady. A ship strong and sound with a perilous crew, and high on the mainmast the skull and bones flew. Fleet and swift was the Dark Lady, and every night the Baron would raise a toast. He'd say here's to our lovely lady host, my one true love. He'd hear the crew reply, and the Dark Lady sighed. A rich Spanish galleon was spotted one night. The Dark Lady's crew prepared for the fight. Clash of swords, though the Spaniards survived it, except for the maiden with dark eyes so bold, found in the hull with the jewels and the gold. The bard laughed and took her for ransom, and every night the Baron would raise a toast. He'd say here's to our lovely lady host, my one true love. He'd hear the crew reply, and the Dark Lady sighed. The maiden Carlotta was a beauty quite rare, with each passing night the bond just couldn't bear his empty bed. so he brought her to it. The Baron soon found he felt more than desire. His love for her grew and his heart filled with fire. He proclaimed that they would marry. That night the Baron drank with Jubilee. He said, "Here's to my lovely bride to be, my one true love." Hear the crew replied, and the dark lady cried. Storm-rooted sea, the dark lady saw her chance to be free of her rival, the beauty Carlotta. Ship steered her south to the heart of the gale, when waves swept the weight and out over the rail. Sweet revenge on an unfaithful lover. That night the dark lady raised a toast. She said, "Here's to your lovely lady host, your one true love." No voices at all replied, and the dark lady smiled. Now every night when a storm fills the sky, they say that a ghost ship, it sails in its eye. Fleet and swift is the dark lady, a ship strong and sound with a perilous crew. And high on the mainmast the skull and bones flew, while the captain gazes out to sea. And every night the Baron must drink a toast and say, "Here's to our lovely lady host, my one true love." Hear the ghost crew replies, and the dark lady smiles.